We'll begin by clicking on the Schedule button. Here we have the option to enter appointments or view appointments, depending on how we wish to proceed. We'll just get right into it and click on Enter an Appointment. By clicking on the Go to Today button, it sets the selector to the current day. By clicking the All button in the filter system, we see all events for all provider team members and all criteria for that specific day. So you can look at different days in these options and you'll see what's booked within those day ranges. So let's say we wish to book an appointment for Tuesday, January 18th. We can see that there are some appointments already in there. Putting the mouse over the individual item will give you some quick information about the appointment. You can also filter these appointments by provider team member or by criteria, and additionally by facility. So if you were looking to see if a specific provider team member is available, for instance, Kevin Mulder, we could look at Kevin Mulder's events. Thus, we're only seeing appointments that would be for Kevin Mulder. If we turn Kevin Mulder off and look at Sharon O'Brien, we'll see Sharon O'Brien has an appointment on the selected date. Again, you can select the entire list and see your entire list of currently viewed provider team members. The provider team members are also filtered by these filtering options here for the team member. Thus, you're only seeing the team members who meet the status and type that you select in the team section. We'll set this to all again, and we'll go back to the selector. If we wish to create a schedule event on the 18th, we'll move the cursor over to the time ruler and select the time we wish to start at. So we'll click on 11 a.m. Then it's asking us to select an end time. Let's set it till 12:30 p.m. This sets an event from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. You can move the times at any point in time by clicking on the clock and setting it to whatever time desired. You can also nudge within individual minutes if necessary. Note that the hands will be red for AM and the hour hand will be a bluish for PM times. Description is just a brief description to describe the event if necessary. It's optional. You'll also see a list of patients. This is the list of patients in your patient demographics. You have the choice to run a keyword search to search for a specific patient also. It's always wise to search and make sure that you don't already have an existing patient before you create a new one. For this example, we'll select Sandra Anderson. When Sandra Anderson was selected, her default rendering provider also was attached to this event. You can detach if you desire or attach additional provider team members to this event. The alarm allows you to set the time at which the alarm will be triggered for this event. It's basically an alert system for the attached provider team members. This will only be displayed to the provider team member at login or during any operations where you return to the main menu or exit the main menu. We'll set this to 30 minutes before the event. Reoccurring events are events which you can create from the currently selected event, which allow you to create matching events that would span out over a period of time. For example, if you wanted a weekly appointment every Tuesday for the next 3 months, you can set the desired time range that you want this to span until, and it will create events for those automatically for you. Team links is just a more advanced way of viewing and attaching different provider team members to a given event. The criteria is how this event will be filtered. This is a very important area to make sure it's set correctly. You can select multiple options as well. These type and status options can also be added in the scheduler preferences. Category will not be filtered, but it is an additional way of categorizing your event. You can also attach any given look to this event by selecting from this list. Text color is only visible on certain screens, but it is an additional way of categorizing the way an event displays. The Comments tab allows you to input information that's to be delivered to the team member or to the patient. Comments for team might be things that the provider or the technician needs to know prior to the event. Comments for the patient might be things that need to be explained to the patient at the event. These instructions for the patient are external and will be in appointment cards or phone call reminders to the patient. Thus, it's best to keep this area HIPAA compliant. Additionally, there are several ways you can view the information for a specific day. Tab through these options and view the data as you desire. This section shows you the patients. You can also view appointments within a certain time range. For instance, if you only want to see your morning appointments, by clicking morning, you'll only see the appointments that occur in the morning. You can also set these clocks to an exact range, set the clock accordingly, and that will narrow those down. There are other ways to also look at appointments. You can look at appointments by the week or by the month. By clicking on a specific week, you will go right directly to the week view for that selected week. By clicking on a specific day, you'll go to that specific day in the selector. If you go back to the month view, you can also see within the filter range all of the appointments within that month based on the filter criteria. The same thing also applies for the week. Given any week, you can view that week's appointments in a list by the filtered criteria. You can additionally view the patients that are within that time range also, all of which are based on the filter. You can also narrow these down both on the week and the month view by the time range as well. For instance, if you only wanted to see your morning appointments, your midday appointments, you can choose to narrow these time frames down and set the clocks to exact times you wish to see ranges for if desired as well. Let's say, for example, we wanted to look at Tuesday the 18th, and this appointment, we're going to move from the 18th of this week till the 25th of next week. We'll note that when we click on the clock above, this selects the specific event and loads it into the selected event holder. From here, we can copy the event or move the event. The difference between moving the event and copying the event is moving the event will remove it from the original date and place it in the new date. Copying will leave it in the existing date and copy an exact replica of that event to a new date. So to move it to the 25th, we'll go down to the selector and select the 25th. And we have the option here to copy or move the event. In this case, we're going to move the event. We click move. That event is now moved to the 25th. If we go back to the 18th, we'll see that that event is no longer there. We have a choice of setting a date range and a keyword search. They're both combined together. If you wish to look at all of your events, you can click on the All button. This sets the date range to the maximum range that's necessary for the search. By typing into the search field, it will match search words in the description, which is optionally entered in each scheduling event. If we were looking for an event that had the word drainage in the description, we would type in drainage. Unlike some of the type-ahead searches, it requires the word be entered in its entirety before the search will trigger. Thus, we've now found a set of events that match this criteria in the keyword search, and we can go directly to any one of those events and return. In this section, we're going to look at appointment reports. Begin by clicking on Scheduling, and we'll click Report tab. This report is to give your provider team members a printed list of their appointments within a given time range. We'll begin by selecting the time range we want the report to include. For this example, we'll go from today forward. We can also narrow down the specific provider team members. If we choose, you can clear them and select specific provider team members based on their type and category. This allows you to filter team members. So if we only wanted to see rendering providers, assistants, nurses, and technicians, we would now be narrowed down. Status also affects this list. Now we can choose to turn on and off the individual provider team members, or you can click the Add All button. This will include all of these provider team members in the report. When we click on the Report button, we'll get a report that shows all of the details necessary for that item. If we can click Preview, and we'll see a description of those events. We'll begin by clicking on the Scheduling button. We'll then click on the Process tab. You'll see we have both events and patients. From here, we wish to narrow down the events, so we'll click on our date selector. We'll set it to today, and by clicking on this blue button right here, we set the end date to the exact same date. Now, let's say we want to send out a reminder from, say, the 17th through the 21st. We've now set our selector to next week's appointments. When you click here, you'll see the patients who are linked to those appointments. You'll notice some are highlighted in a light green. Those denote the method with which they prefer to be contacted. We'll create what's called an appointment reminder event. Now we have what we call claim processing events that have appointment reminders associated with them. You'll note that the light orange button over here denotes that the patient is empty in this event. Even though this event is within that date range, there's no point sending an appointment reminder about an appointment with no patient. You can quickly remove this by clicking the orange button, or if you have multiples in a large set, you can click the Remove Empty button up top by the patients, and that will remove items which do not have patients linked. This will generate a report, which you can set up as your call list for your staff to make appointment calls to the patient. You also have the option to build an electronic file. This electronic file can be sent off to your clearinghouse or any service which is handling your call reminder process. In addition, all of these appointment reminders become claim processing events that are tied to the patient. So when you go into a patient's processing, you'll see the appointment reminder in their list of processing events. Thus, you'll know they've been reminded. That's a quick overview of the Easy Billing Professional scheduling system.